As usual, I'm your host Jay, and welcome to TD9.
You will not be able to stay home, brother. You will not be able to plug in, turn on, and cop out. You will not be able to lose yourself on Skag and skip out for beer during commercials because the revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be brought to you by Xerox in 4 parts without commercial interruptions.
Marching trying to show that they're like they represent Orlando or like they represent Florida. They don't.
Will not be televised, will not be televised, will not be televised. The revolution will be no rerun, brothers. The revolution will be live.
Welcome back to TD9. There has been an update on the Nashville School shooting that happened earlier this year that involved the trans-identified shooter who murdered 6 people, including 3 children. The manifesto has actually been released earlier this month, I believe Monday, November 5th, by Steven Crowder. And the news is going crazy. Let's check some of these videos out.
More social media censorship. YouTube and Facebook have allegedly taken action against conservative podcast host Steven Crowder, who has obtained and published some pages from the Nashville Covenant School Shooters Manifesto. He wrote on X that viewers could instead tune into Rumble to learn more about the manifesto. Nashville's mayor has confirmed that a manifesto leaked online was written by Covenant School shooter Audrey Hale, who was responsible for killing 6 people this past spring. The mayor says the manifesto gives some insight into the gunman's motive for the shooting.
Now remember, we've known about the manifesto since the beginning. TD9 actually covered it on our 3rd episode.
Tell us that she was a former student at the school. I don't know what grade she's attended or grades, but we do firmly believe she was a student there.
Did she identify as transgender?
She does identify as transgender, yes.
And no motive at this point? Anything discovered in the apartment or house?
No, we have a manifesto. We have some writings that we're going over that pertain to this day, the actual incident. We have a map drawn out of how this was all going to take place. There's right now a theory of that we may be able to talk about later, but it's not confirmed, and so we'll put that out as soon as we can.
And Chief, is there any reason to believe that how she identifies had to do with why?
I'm sorry, I'm not someone's Michael. I didn't hear you say that again, sir.
Is there any reason to believe that how she identifies has any motive for targeting the school?
We can give you that at a later time. There is some theory to that. We're investigating all the leads, and once we know exactly, we will let you know.
Okay, there you see that the reporter alleged that the shooter's identity may have something to do with it, but right now still under investigation. Remember, the first place that the media took it was not even about mental health, not even about the motivation of this person, but they immediately went to gun control.
And he wants Congress to act because enough is enough. In his State of the Union, the president called on Congress to do something to stop the epidemic of gun violence, tearing families apart, tearing communities apart. How many more children have to be murdered before Republicans in Congress will step up and act to pass the assault weapons ban?
Okay, follow me. The school shooting happens, and then now we know that a manifesto exists. The first thing the news does, including the White House Secretary of Press, they talk about taking guns away from the American people. Not the motivation of the shooter, not what brought them, to these actions, what caused it. But no. The weapon. Now, check this video out. I'm going somewhere with this. Follow me.
Now, it's been 3 days since the tragic school shooting in Nashville, and we've heard nothing from Republicans in Congress about what they will do to stop our kids from being murdered in our schools and in our communities. In fact, we've now heard a number of Republican members of Congress that they don't intend to do anything at all. And in North Carolina yesterday, the Republican-controlled state legislature didn't skip a beat in overriding Governor Cooper's veto on a dangerous bill that makes communities less safe. That's the opposite of common sense. And it is outrageous. As the president has said, we need Congress to act now. Doing nothing when guns are the leading killer of our kids in America is absolutely unacceptable.
Okay, as you just heard, it was only 3 days after the incident, and White House Press Secretary Jean-Pierre stated that she has heard nothing from Republicans or Congress about what they should do from stopping our kids from being murdered in schools. Now, mind you, we know about the manifesto at this point. Republicans are calling for the release of the manifesto so we can understand the mindset of the person who done this, what actually motivated them to do this. Why were certain people targeted? Why was this school chosen? All of this could have been answered months ago, potentially in this manifesto, but you have people like Jean-Pierre pretending like, oh, no one actually cares. And then she goes on to mention that the most deaths to children is gun violence. It's actually abortion, but this is not the conversation we're having right now. What you've come here for, showing the manifesto itself. Now, what I'm going to do, since Steven Crowder's video was removed from YouTube, I'm going to show the news covering the manifesto, since their video's up on YouTube, and that's fine. So YouTube, I'm just showing what's already allowed on YouTube.
For the shooting.
Steven Crowder announced the leak on YouTube yesterday, saying he will be reading the manifesto on his show. He also posted screenshots of the manifesto on social media. The leak reads, Nashville School Covenant shooter Audrey Hale's Death Day manifesto targeted crackers with white privileges from the manifesto. The manifesto also reportedly includes the following: kill those kids, those crackers going to private fancy schools with fancy khakis and backpacks and their daddy's Mustang convertibles. I hope I have a high death count. I'm ready. I hope my victims aren't ready to die. Now, this delay in Hale's manifesto's release has actually been a point of contention for conservatives.
I don't like the way he ended that. Point of contention for conservatives. This should be a point of contention for everyone. We should want to know the motives behind this. God forbid, if I lost friends or family to like a tragic public shooting or something like that, I would want to know, was the person on drugs? Was the person mentally ill? Did they have a manifesto? Was my family intentionally targeted? And if so, what can I do to avoid being targeted, or other friends and family? What can I learn from this? We already established that the media knew about the manifesto, but claimed they didn't want it released in order to discourage copycats and in order to protect the LGBTQ community. Now, to get you in the mindset of some of these people, because you've seen the manifesto, you see where their mind is at, and then later there was a protest held, a moment of silence honoring the shooter as the 7th victim. That's crazy.
Every death is a tragedy, y'all. It's 7 lives.
I'd say there were 7 victims here.
If a shooter happens to be white, and a white supremacist, or not even a white supremacist, you're going to hear non-stop talking points about gun control and white supremacy. And depending on what team you're part of, you can even say that's justified. But isn't it interesting that if a shooter happens to be white but part of the LGBTQ, it's about the backlash and keeping their identity safe? Isn't that odd?
And one of the things that we saw during the midterm elections is that people don't want their freedoms to be taken. They want us to fight for their freedoms. And so it is shameful, it is disturbing, and our hearts go out to the trans community as they are under attack right now. But
here at TD9, we're not looking to cause pain or reopen old wounds. But I think it's important to bring the truth to the public, especially to show that this was something that was intentionally hidden from you. So keep your eyes open. I've been your host, Jay. This is TD9.